We are multifaceted beings. We have a body, yes, of course, and that affects everything. We have a mind, we have a soul, we have a spirit. And when we neglect that, it's like trying to bake a cake without sugar. I have all these ideas. How do I get started? And it was very frustrating. And then when you did that system, like just follow these directions and you'll succeed, let's go. We really don't do a good job, especially highly ambitious, motivated people, of letting ourselves.
Hey, welcome to Business Klub, Small Business Spotlight. Today we are going to feature one of my great friends, Jennifer Kraan. Jennifer and I know each other for a few years, probably more than 10 years. And in the last couple of years, we've seen her come to Business Klub, learn a lot, and she also did take a few sessions. So I requested her that she come to our podcast and share her insights. And today she's on the show. I'm very excited about what's going to be a great discussion. So I look forward for that. And I hope you guys also enjoy it. So I'm very, very excited about it. Hey, Jennifer.
Hey, Sudev.
Good to see you.
Great to see you.
Welcome to Small Business Spotlight.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. And, we started the series just to try to highlight all the small businesses right now in the Charlotte market area. But in general, we would like to kind of bring more exposure to the small business owners and understand their background, their story, and see what they can actually help millions of others who are aspiring to become small business owners. So that's the whole idea. Trying to learn a little bit from everyone who comes here. So the way this whole format is, initially we ask you about yourself and your business, what you're into, why you are into all that. And then eventually the whole idea is to get to know a little bit more about you and your mission, vision, and all that. And the end, we have a rapid fire section.
Okay.
Where even though we say it's rapid fire, we leave it to you to tell us an elongated story as well.
Okay. Fair enough.
Right. So let's get started. So tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you for last, couple of years, or maybe actually 12 years, right? 10 to 12 years, but that's when we met first at Steve Gatter.
Oh my goodness. Yes, that's right. At that networking event. Yes.
Yeah, at a networking event. And and after that, we lost touch. Now we got back to Business Klub. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what have you been up to?
What I've been up to. That's such a great question. It's a very broad question. So I tend to not sit still that often. And so I've been up to what I'm most excited about and to talk to you about today is building a business that helps high impact leaders to optimize their well-being when it comes to their mind, their body, and their soul so that they can contribute at their highest level and avoid burnout.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you start your career, your college?
Wow. My career.
You were an entrepreneur from a young age.
I was an entrepreneur from a young age. Since I was 6 years old, crazy as that sounds. No. Since I was 6 years old, however, I would always get these ideas to start a business, and it was a desire that and wanting to be an actress and singer. So anyhow, and so then it wasn't until I was 17, this man comes into our living room. I'm in high school, and he starts talking about this business opportunity, and I wasn't that interested in it until he got to the last flip chart. So back in the day, when using flip charts, and what he did, Sudev, is he did ABCD. This is how you do it. It was a system. And so ever since I was 6, I was like, how do I have all these ideas? How do I get started? And it was very frustrating. And then when he did that system, like just follow these directions and you'll succeed. I was like, let's go. Let's go. Yeah. And so I started, it was a word of mouth type of an organization, a distribution company. And I started right away talking to people, finding what they wanted in the life and, okay, let's work together to make this happen. And it was so much fun. So I had to hold their agreements until I turned 18, which was a couple months to be legal.
Right.
And I did that for a couple of years, built up around, over 300 in the organization. And here I am, quite young, and helping 40-year-olds and so forth make calls and train. And so I learned a lot about leadership in terms of disciplines and structures, and really caring about your people. And that was a very joyous event.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So what inspired you to start this leadership well-being program?
My journey, me,
Yeah.
my story. So I've had a lot of experiences that have not been easy,
Mm.
and ever since I was, again, in high school, I was very into fitness.
Okay.
And I think I was slightly inspired by my dad. He's still, it's like almost 80 and still in shape.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I began teaching group exercise, did that for 12 years. So I really just found a love and passion for it. So it was very always healthy, had good energy, and so on and so forth. And then through some, shall we say, a difficult marriage,
Mm.
and then going through a divorce, and then becoming head of household, and essentially starting all over, alongside of being a managing partner for a company for 15 years and building that up, which we did leadership coaching, interestingly, and built assessments, and that's a very, very interesting business. So it was a bit of stress, to say the least, and I was still very active and very fit in my body, but then my body began to respond and started breaking
Oh, yeah.
down. So we're talking getting out of bed, and all of a sudden I'm landed on the floor one day and thought, well, that's not right. What's going on?
And this was about 8-10 years ago or something?
Oh, God. Sounds good. Yeah, that's about right. About 10 years ago. And so, or maybe a little longer. So it was a really an interesting time, because I thought I was doing everything right. And so literally in high school, I was reading ingredients. So this is before it was sexy and cool to be healthy. I'd carry my water bottle around, and I was like, oh, hydrogenated oils, not going to eat that. You know, so like I wouldn't have any processed foods. I wouldn't have any sugar, et cetera, et cetera. I tried all the diets, so I learned from experience. I was a vegetarian. That didn't work out well. I did the Atkins diet. That was horrendous. And then I figured Mediterranean diet is really good. So I had this amazing base with this quench of, or a interest that wouldn't be quenched when it came to nutrition, when it came to health. So I was doing everything right. I didn't understand why my body was falling apart. And that's where
Started this.
No, and it keeps on going. That's where I got the realization of the importance of taking care of our minds.
Mm.
And interestingly, when I was 16, I got a hold of Tony Robbins' book. I think it was Awaken the Giant Within.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fascinated with that, the NLP, state change, all these
Right.
things. It's very empowering. And I was a little bit of an addict when it came to personal development. So, you know, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, you're probably familiar with these.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, yes. And taking all of that in, and I recognize the importance of your mindset. And when I got married, my husband at the time thought that was a waste of time and so forth. And I was trying to, adjust. And I came away from that. And to my demise, what a difference it makes when you're consistent.
Yeah.
And making sure you're reading something positive, you're listening to something positive, you're taking time for yourself. And those are things I got away from. So I came back to that, and then went through a very interesting transition of being head of household, going through a divorce, figuring out how to raise kids on my own, and starting a new career, essentially. And so that was all helpful. And for years and years, I was practicing these two components, but there was still something missing.
Mm.
And what I found that was we really don't do a good job, especially highly ambitious, motivated people, of letting ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't do a good job of parenting or mothering ourselves, because that's a more nurturing way to be. And it comes to finding the root of that, which I found is actually living an authentic life, because we simply are not aware of who we are.
Right.
We haven't taken time to slow down and figure that out, or uncover the limiting beliefs. And it's a fight. It's a struggle. So now we're striving in personal development to be our best and show up as our best and all these things. But without that foundation in place, it's still going to fail.
Right.
And so that's where now I've taken literally over 30 years of everything I've
30?
learned. 30. Yeah. Yeah. I know I look young. Okay. But over 30 years of my personal journey and going to the bottom, and it's like, I haven't told you, that wasn't even the dark night of the soul, if you will, for me. It got worse before it got better. And so all my personal experience, and then what I've gleaned from many personal development specialists, and then connecting, because what is so crazy is for us to walk around and neglect the fact that we're multifaceted beings, that we are not just a body. We put so much emphasis on the body. And this was my frustration, is there saying, okay, take this diet pill, and then, that's going to make everything better, and sign up for this program, and that's going to fix it. But it's not all encompassing. And because we are multifaceted beings, we have a body, yes, of course, and that affects everything. We have a mind, we have a soul, we have a spirit. And when we neglect that, it's like trying to bake a cake without sugar. Of course, I'd have a sugarless cake, but so it just wasn't working. And so that frustration of this, my own journey, and then realizing, wait a second, there is actually, there's spiritual laws that we're neglecting and ignoring, and we're actually fighting against it. And if we just stopped and paid attention, and then
took a step back, took a back seat, and then took a look at it?
Yes, in part, but more so to be still enough to get back in touch with who you really are.
Oh.
And for most of us, it's been buried for so long. It's not a quick thing. We don't pay attention to the genius that lives inside of us. It's amazing. And then when you do, it's so freeing. It's amazing. And so obviously I'm passionate about this, because it's been a long journey for me. And I look at everything that I've learned, and I think, I bet you I could save somebody a whole lot of time and a whole lot of pain. So
Especially the younger ones.
The younger ones?
The ones who are just coming up in the career and, taking on more leadership.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. So I was thinking my ideal client somewhere between the ages of 30 to 50, or they've been through some things, so forth. And funny enough, I've had a couple younger ones in their 20s and they're in their later 20s. And it's really gratifying. Matter of fact, I was 2 weeks ago. I have to keep the text, because I had a session, and she is, I think, 28, new mom, and in her career, well established in her career at that age. And after our session, she had enough clarity to go ahead and shift over and change her career within the same company, change her role, and she was just completely confident about moving forward because of the clarity she gained when she was able to step away from the noise and allow possibilities that sometimes we can have circumstances make us believe they're not possible. And she sent me a text that said, I hope someday that I can impact someone as much as you've impacted me. And that's
it's amazing.
Little me, really? I helped you? Cool. So, but it's exciting to think that, what I've been through is going to benefit someone else. And that makes it rewarding and worthwhile.
Absolutely.
So, that was a long answer. You got one question in.
That's fine.
Okay.
So how does your approach differ from the traditional leadership programs?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And the difference is that it is holistic. It is all encompassing. It's not ignoring one aspect. It's not saying we're going to
Mind, soul, and body.
Yeah. Yeah. And on top of that, it's a consistency is so important with everything, because when you're talking about having a transformation and making a shift in order for it to be permanent, it's not a one-time thing.
Yep.
There has to be some, and I like the word boundaries, or maybe it's more like on rails, because it's really hard to do great things. One, on your own, super
Right.
hard. Who does that? But second, to try to do something great without a system. It's so freeing. So actually, every now and then, I'll put a video on LinkedIn when I'm inspired, and one of them was about the FOMO.
Yeah, fear of missing out.
Yes, and so that was me. Because so to the point where you're at a party, you're at a networking event, and you're in a conversation, like, kind of interesting, what's going on in this conversation. It's like, I don't want to miss out any. So just you don't want to miss out. And I had this epiphany of, wait a second, this is a gift that there's a limitation in our time here on this planet. These limitations are gifts, because what it does is it allows us to align with what's more right for us, and therefore we're going to live a richer, fuller life. Yeah. So I thought that's all right, and so now I'm happy to be focused right here and nowhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Thinking talking about FOMO, I recently came across a word called FOMO. Heard of that?
No.
Fear of messing up.
Messing up. Oh, that's a good topic too. Yeah.
Something related to it. I think it's got a lot to do with, being in the present, connecting with yourself, not having to fear about messing things up and things like that. Just keep doing, and things will fall in place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's such a relief to understand that the worst thing you can do is to not do.
Yeah, exactly. Wrong decisions are better than indecisions.
Yes, because then we can be directed. It's that whole, you can't steer a parked car, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
Cool. So many leaders struggle with burnout, and how does your program help them kind of sustain those high performance without being burned out?
Okay. And so it is a system. It is getting them on rails. It's giving them boundaries that actually bring freedom. It's funny that discipline brings freedom.
Right.
Yeah. And it's a very methodical program, if you will, and the coaching program, in terms of offering the realizations that they need to be able to progress to the next step. But to answer your question perhaps a little more succinctly than taking you through what the program consists of, is it's a ability for them to first and foremost see things differently, which expands an entire different way of living. I could take you through one good tool, have a little fun, and play if you want, or I can give you an example. So is there say something in your life that you want to change right now?
Right now, yes, I would love to be more, more focused on accomplishing my goal. I want to get to. So, right, I'm very passionate about chess club, right?
Yes, they do. It's very
Chess club
cool.
is more like a passion project.
Yeah.
My business club, of course, it's a purpose-driven business, both chess club as well as this. So right now, my focus is to get chess club to the next level, helping it to expand to at least about, say, 20 cities in the next 2 years time.
Okay.
Across the US.
Okay.
That's my goal. So, and that's solely focused on getting the franchise set up.
Okay.
Of course, there's business club, there's a podcast, and there's other things that I do, among zillion things.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But staying focused is very, very is something that I'm seeking.
Fantastic. So what's the problem?
The problem is I get pulled in from different directions for different topics. Sometimes it's too trivial for me to manage. Sometimes it's sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes it's something that's not professional.
Mhm.
So I get dragged into personal stuff. So which actually deviates me from the core focus. So all these are the problems that, like last 1 year, not last 1 year, but 6 months, we've been struggling with some issues locally, where we were not able to focus on the core job at hand.
Mhm.
Instead, focused on the person instead of the process. So
Mhm.
the person was important, but at the
Mhm.
same time, if we had let him, or if we had educated him or kind of counseled him, like, hey, focus on a profession, probably would have been at a better place. So within chess club itself. So yeah. So it's kind of struggle to constant struggle to convince the unconvincible. So it's sometimes it's like the dog's tail. It
Mhm.
just goes round round, never you cannot catch it.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
been tough. So but life has to move on. We have still our goals of getting to so many cities, so many branches. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's where we are.
So, in particular, this person was slowing you down because of the lack of the professional skill set to move the organization
It
forward.
was mixing personal to professional.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
So
Okay.
whoever this person was, and I don't name him,
Right. Right.
but this person was a great coach, professional coach, but then he was mixing personal life into the profession. Whereas for me, if you're teaching chess, you're teaching chess to the kids,
Mhm.
and when the kids come in, it's a place of worship here. It's a playing area. I
Mhm.
always say this is like a temple. You have to keep it holy, and you have to keep it with that same spirit. We're here to teach kids not just the game of chess, but also life lessons.
Mhm.
And you have to keep that. And if you can't embody that on a day-to-day basis, what are you teaching the kids? So when personal situations comes into, it could be anything. It could be the things that you're going at home, and then you start bringing that to work. That it Okay.
Ah,
If you're a solo,
I
what's
do.
that word?
Panure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
solopreneur. If you're like a one person contributor,
Mhm.
then it's
Mhm.
okay. But you're working with kids of, I don't know, maybe 8, 10, 12 years old, and
Mhm.
there are hundreds of kids. And then if you don't bring your best self to that, then what are they going to learn from you?
Right.
So,
Right. So it's really important. So it sounds like the core challenge, if you will, is sounds like a little bit of focus, more so perhaps a feeling like there's not enough resources or not enough of you or not enough time, perhaps.
yeah, time, resources, all those played a part, but it
Okay.
was more mixing of the personal versus professional, of that individual. So I can't get into the details, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
then that's
Which is helpful, but
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, so it is. We solved that problem
Okay.
for now,
Okay.
and in a way, I'm glad that we solved it.
Yeah.
But it was a struggle the last 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
To Thankfully, there was not too much of attrition or any of those,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and didn't impact as much. But yeah, we had to take some tough stance.
Okay. But so right now, what's an issue that so it sounds like this was something you went through that was uncomfortable and it was challenging in terms of what the steps you needed to take, but right now what's something that you would say I'd really love this to change.
What I would love to change right now is, bring that old spirit back, and then drive with equal or more passion and enthusiasm, and have the belief that nobody is going to pull you down. The universal force is not going to pull you down. It's going to lift
Mhm.
you up and help you get toward in that journey where we are headed towards. It's not about the numbers. It's about the mission. It's about helping, impacting X number of kids or X number of, it's creating a create an impact to the society overall. Because chess, I believe, is going to help individuals shape up their character.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we have a big role to play. So I'm looking at that from a larger perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and not from the day-to-day effect of like competition and things like that. So if you have a larger purpose, then these small squabbles don't matter. Small issues don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think I just need to get that larger purpose a little bit more clear, and then walk that path. Make sure that any impediments on the way needs to be all the roadblocks need to be moved
Okay.
before you get to our destination.
And so what's in the way right now of that larger purpose being
Was it
prevalent?
the way we just got out of that? We got that thing out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Now we are headed towards with more passion and rigor and all that stuff.
Okay.
So we just got last week. So
Okay.
yeah. So now the thing is, now we have to bring that energy back. How we started with. So the constant struggle always is to, the energy with which we start.
Yes.
Can we continue with the same energy or have more energy?
Okay.
So that's the constant struggle.
Okay. So the desire is to reignite the energy in Chess Club that you had at the
At
beginning.
the beginning.
And the challenge is that, shall we say, you're tired because you've been through,
I'm not tired. I'm just, sometimes you rely on people to do certain things certain way. And if these things don't happen, then you question yourself, have you done the right thing? So sometimes I'm my own enemy. I'm my own.
We all are.
Yeah. So,
Mm.
so that's something that I have to overcome and stop questioning and keep doing.
Okay. So that's it. So it sounds like really the root of it is more of questioning yourself. Do I still have it in me after I've been through this to go out there and bring my best self forward with all this gumption and spirit to make a difference in these young children's lives? Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
So then what limiting belief do you hear in this conversation about you?
The limiting belief, I feel that was a struggle that I went through when, not everybody, even though the near and dear ones were, hearing me, they may not recognize it unless they go through it. So I think, it's not limiting belief. I mean, I'm a self-motivated guy, so I don't think there's any limiting belief as such. It's just that sometimes you have to answer yourself and sometimes you have to take a step back. And that's what I've been doing. Holding myself back, not to express the way I should express, or sometimes I express it way too much. So holding myself back at the right times actually has helped me. But at the same time, when you reflect, was that the right thing to do? So it was always a question that comes to my mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
So self-doubt.
Yeah,
Self-doubt. Did I do the right thing?
yeah.
Okay. So what if you flipped that
Mhm.
and you said, what would the opposite of that be? Did I do the right thing? What would the opposite be?
I did the right thing, and no matter who tells me what, I'm going to still carry on.
Mhm.
Not going to self-doubt. We're going to self-confident,
Mhm.
and then flip the thing, and then face the world, remove the obstacles,
Mhm.
and go through and attack, and then shine like a star.
Right. So you're a rock star. So I don't know if this is the best example, actually. However, though, if you were to say on a daily basis, wake up, look at yourself, and say, "I make good decisions."
Mm.
Right?
Be self-confident.
Yeah, I make good decisions, or maybe there's not a wrong decision,
Mm.
like we talked about in the beginning. The worst decision is not doing anything.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So, and then when we make a decision and we're like, oh, that is not how I wanted this to go. What happens is in your scenario, in your story, is there's a valuable lesson to learn from that. And then that seems to always prepare us
Yeah.
for the next thing. So maybe, Sudev, you did exactly what you were supposed to do.
Maybe I did.
Maybe you did. Or what if you knew you did?
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
You see? Yeah. So this is, I call it the transformation table. So that's what we just, as a tool, one of the tools of the many. And you take a look at what you want and what's the challenge and what's the thought beneath that. Because that's always where it stems from. It's always stems from really our identity, to go deeper. And then you flip it and we rewire our brain. We rewire our mind,
Right.
mind, brain, two different things, to be able to see things in a different light, which brings that freedom. So I bet if you're to wake up every morning and you're to look in the mirror and you're to say, I make the right decisions.
Yeah.
Yep, everything's happening just as it should. It's very, very freeing. And then, of course, you do more cool stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And I actually recently added something to this, which I think is so much fun. And we can use another scenario to break this down more for maybe people that struggle with, say, time. I can give you my example of using this, as to then take action on that. Because we can have a thought or even an idea. You've all experienced this, where you have a thought and it's like you get excited about it for a second. And if you don't take action on it, it just goes away.
Yeah.
Goes away. So that's where the consistency is so important. So in your scenario, now you have this new decision, right? You have a new decision that I make good choices. I make the right choices. Things are working out just the way they should, however you want to phrase it. And it's got to be yours so you can play with it, knowing it, right? And to then ask yourself, okay, where is this true in my life? Start looking for evidence of that. And of course, what we focus on, we get more of. We literally create a reality. So if I focus on this tree the whole time, I would have a different experience in focusing on you, right? And so you can start looking for, where has that been true? As a matter of fact, even when it looked like it wasn't a good situation, thank God for hindsight. Oh, actually, that set me up for this kind of a thing.
It could have been worse, but still, that set me up for this, because this is how I'm going to deal with this going forward.
Yeah. And so now you have gotten stronger and you've gotten wiser through that. And so now my challenge, if I can challenge you, would be to take a small step towards that being true. So what could you do today that maybe it's a little scary? And I love that saying, when you're afraid to do something, you're headed in the right direction. What could you do that would be evidence that you're making the right decision?
Sure. First of all, in a situation like this, I think first we draw the boundaries in terms of what could be done with work, what shouldn't, what personal things can you bring in, have that articulated and have that, kind of contract signed or whatever. It can be a contract, it can be anything. But more importantly, draw that line, especially when you're hiring someone. Make sure that they don't cross that line, and they are well educated up front. That anything that you do personal inside this will tantamount to like X, Y, and Z. So that will make a lot easier, and then also start trusting them that they are here to do a great job.
Yeah.
And in the process, there will be mistakes. So. And mistakes, to err is human, to forgive is divine. So we keep moving, and then we just keep telling them that it's okay to make mistakes as long as you own them, and as long as you don't repeat them. Things like that. I think that's something that I've learned, to be more forgiving.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's beautiful. And forgiveness is freedom. Right. So very good. Well, I hope that you explore that in other areas of decision making coming up and seeing a transformation. And that's actually, I was talking to one of my clients yesterday, and I was asking about her transformation. And she shared with me that tool, that transformation table. She said that was powerful, and how it impacted her was she was having actual physical stress response upon waking, which is not the ideal way to start your day.
And upon waking up?
upon waking.
Wow.
Yeah. From trauma from the past, and that's how we store trauma in our bodies, and so it's been working with her for a couple months now, and after a couple months, she said, "Well, first, I have the ability to get up without the stress, without the anxiety, 'cause she was just bombarded with stress and anxiety, and she's an entrepreneur,
Mm.
and she also has been able to make a change in her career path with the clarity that's come with the work." And she's been able to move forward in that freedom and confidence of knowing who she is and ditching the stress. So it's a beautiful tool to use alongside there's
Transformation table.
transformation table alongside with forgiveness in the work. So we get into, I mentioned the operating system previous to this time with you, and this really needing to understand what's going on underneath the surface all the time that we haven't been paying attention to, that's been running the show, so that we can address that and we can make changes to actually live what we didn't know was possible. And so that's the fun part of it.
Cool. So coming back to our question and answers.
Yes.
What are some of the biggest struggles you see that some of the high-performing business leaders face?
Distraction,
Distraction.
lack of time, and feeling stressed out. If you're having that pressure, well, there's some of the biggest issues out there dealing with. And then when it comes to the team, sometimes they feel like they have to have all the answers. They have to do everything right.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because they're most often coming from a place of Song of Solomon says that in ancient books says, you're keeping everyone's vineyards, but you're not keeping your own.
Yeah.
And that's true of entrepreneurs. It's true of high achieving leaders. It's like, I've got to be perfect for everyone and take care of all their needs and help. Yeah.
So Steve Garrett,
Yes.
we love,
Yes.
he always talks about the oxygen in the airplane concept.
Yes.
When things go bad,
Mhm.
take the oxygen yourself first.
That's it.
Then,
Yeah. Can't give from an empty cup.
yep, exactly.
Mhm.
Cool. So how do you help leaders who feel too busy to prioritize their own growth and well-being?
Yeah, that's a good question. And and that's what it begins with, a lot of questions. So let's take a look at where you're at.
Mm.
Let's take a look at the trajectory of where you're going. One,
Yeah.
is your ladder up against the right wall even? Two, 20 years from now, are you going to find yourself in the beaches of Tahiti or in a hospital? Right? What's the reality of the situation? So there's that. And then it's actually questioning, are they too busy and what's important? Questioning beliefs like you have to catch up on everything. You really don't have to.
Yeah.
And what happens is when you adapt a new belief, the universe, people, resources, things line up to make it happen, and you find ways to be more efficient. I'll give you a quick example from my own life and the time, because I'm an entrepreneur. I have various buckets, and single head, all these things, and I had a day where I had meetings back to back. I had a live training to give, so on and so forth, and I needed to get somewhere later in the day, and my car wasn't starting. My car wasn't starting, and it's a hybrid car. And I'm like, and I was doing all this research of which battery is it, because if it's your battery, it's your battery. But if it's then you're really in trouble in terms of that's going to be a major time and expense. And I got this idea to text my neighbor. No, that was a good one, though, too. I got this idea to text my neighbor, who happened to used to be a mechanic, and he was taking some time off, actually. And wouldn't you know, in a matter of 2 hours, he'd come, he checked it out, he figured out what the problem was. He went and he got me a new battery. He fixed it. Everything worked so smoothly. And I said, okay, this is really cool, because my old belief was, I don't have enough time.
Yeah.
I don't have enough time to get it all done. And my new belief was, I have more than enough time. And what
You were able to reach there on time?
Say again?
You were able to reach your destination?
Yes, it all worked out so smoothly. So it's just letting go and having that new belief and seeing how things actually work out for you. Beautiful thing.
Who said that? I think when you desire, the universe will come to you. Olo Coelho. Yeah, he said that.
What you desire comes to you.
When you desire or when you start doing some things, the universe will come together to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. When we take action,
Yeah.
that's where the action is so important.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you started as the teenage entrepreneur. You
Mhm.
led some 300 people.
Mhm.
So how did that experience shape your philosophy in life or leadership?
Oh, so it was really the importance of being passionate about your people.
Mm.
That was huge. That's paramount. You can easily identify a leader who's there for their own achievement and their own status, or a leader who is there to build and grow and get stuff done at the same time. And so that was noticeable, along with the necessity of having a system.
Mm.
And what I found through the years being both in corporate and I've helped startups, uh, the commonality of where there's a difficulty is when there's a lack of a true system that begins within how they lead themselves, and then they can be an example of that to their people versus trying to pretend like they have it all together and then figuring out how the organization is supposed to operate.
Yes.
Mhm.
And you talk about some critical flaws in leadership development. So what are
Mhm.
those flaws
Mhm.
and how do you impact today's leaders? How do they impact today's leaders?
Yeah, so I think that the major flaws again come back to the lack of being holistic.
Holistic.
Yeah, so let's look at your strengths, let's look
Mm.
at your personality, and of course there's segments on how can we be more mindful. There's this awakening that's happening,
Right.
if you will. Yet it's lacking. It's very much like I'd say our Western approach in medicine. And let's go. Where's your pain? Oh,
Yes.
this is a common one. This women will care about this. Women will care who are on thyroid medication, for example. So, your thyroid's low. Well, let's take the time to understand
Root cause.
that maybe you've been in an incredibly stressful situation for 2 years plus or something, and it's affected your adrenals,
Mm.
and your adrenals is what supports your thyroid. And so instead of understanding how can we, pardon?
Yeah. I said instead of addressing the root cause, you're actually going after the symptoms.
Yeah, so let's put a drug towards that. And and then they're on the drug, which causes other issues. And so I feel like these development programs, and I'm not saying there's a lot of great ones. I'm not, really good. It's just let's take what we know and let's put it all together. But on top of that, let's not guess and let's not strive towards being our best. Let's use these universal truths that have not been really brought into a spotlight as something that a leader needs to focus on to be able to perform at their highest level, actually.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So you worked in corporate leadership and you're also an entrepreneur for a long time.
Mhm.
So how do you see those two different worlds from your lens? So how do those two different worlds actually differ from a leadership perspective?
Yeah. There's actually a lot of similarities.
Mm.
Yeah. It's just in terms of corporate, which you find is depending on the size, but what you find is that they have more of a focus in terms of their realm versus the entrepreneur is wearing many, many hats.
Yeah.
And it's a bit diffused, and the pressure they have is more about it's all on me to make this happen.
Yeah.
Of course, they have a team, but then part of that is paying their team.
Yes, on time.
Right. And corporate can be, it can be a lot of pressure for these leaders. They tend to have their hands tied more, especially I have a affinity towards HR leaders.
Mm.
They want to, a lot of them really want to do what's right to help their people. And the purse strings are above them. And so they have to bring a good argument in terms of an ROI and ways that are going to also build their team. So it's a different type of a pressure, but at the end of the day, depending on their mindset and personality, it's still an incredible amount of pressure on both sides.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how do you define success and leadership, both personally and for the leaders you surround with?
Yeah, that's and I don't think you have ever heard an answer like this. So to me, success is fulfilling what you were designed, created to
Wow.
do. So in other words, let's pretend that you are a gorgeous Ferrari, but you don't go.
Mm.
Right. So there's no fulfillment in that. So to me, success is answering the call, if you will, and going courageously forward into the abyss of the unknown. Yeah.
So burnout is a major issue these days.
Hmm.
So what are some of the early warning signs of burning out?
Um, stress. Stress is a huge precursor.
Mm.
So you can feel that rapid heart going, fatigue, getting really tired is a sign. Not thinking clearly is a
And how do you help them overcome all of that?
Yeah. So every individual is an individual, and I respect that where they're at, what they need. And it might be, for example, obviously mindset is supreme and being connected to who you truly are. And that's the core of the program. However, there's a time where it makes sense to make a small change. It makes sense to take a supplement. So we're not going to ignore that we are also a body. Like I mentioned, I have a really good energy. Yes, I do. I do. I've been interested in supplements for forever. And so I vet them very well. So you can come to me if you have a question.
Sure,
about those.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, I mean, in your personal story, do you have any story where you have actually had competing priorities and where you struggled,
Mm-hmm.
and how did you overcome it?
Yeah. Every day, right? You know,
Okay.
so I'm CEO of Fresh Revenues, and I'm building this because if I don't, I feel like, regret weighs tons, discipline weighs ounces. So disciplining myself, this is it. I'm feeling this is my calling,
Yeah.
right? It's like I've been through these things for a reason. Is to give back, and then that's the ultimate gift is giving back. So absolutely every day, and I'm excited to tell you that I have been working on a planner for the past 2 years, actually. Mhm. Yeah, that's the rails is part of it to make sure that the priorities are very, very clear. The goals are very clear in terms of getting things done. And so for me, it's looking at what's the most important thing to get done today and prioritizing that. And that's also what I help my clients with understanding, what can you let go of? What's really important? What's really important and getting to do that.
Validated what's not validated.
Yeah, understanding you don't actually have to do it all, and then with that epiphany, it's again resources will come. It's really fun to watch the magic happen. Actually,
Yep.
hmm
So most leadership actually focuses on behaviors
hmm
rather than mindset. So why is the mindset so critical?
because that's what runs your behaviors, right? So you can have a
One to the other.
yeah, you'll have a temporary change, but to have a lasting change, you have to again deal with that operating system. You have to say, wait a second. So essentially, it's compare it to buying more shiny apps and putting it on your computer, right? But never dealing with upgrading the operating system. That's causing these issues to begin with. So another app is can be helpful temporarily, but we need to deal with the undergirding issues to make a lasting change. Yeah,
Can you expand a little bit on the leader's operating system?
I can. Sure. So when you're born, you have no inhibitions. You love yourself. You think you're the coolest thing, right?
Cutest thing.
Yeah, and cute. You're in love with yourself. And then, God bless our parents. They don't know any better, and teachers and so
They
forth
also tell you they're the cutest thing.
for a minute. And then you get other messages,
Yeah.
right? And typically that always comes from actually what messages, what operating system they're running on. And so you end up having a combination of your parents.
Right.
And that's a really neat discovery. It takes a minute to go through, but it's a really neat discovery to understand why am I maybe repeating this
Yes.
over and over in my life? What's going on? I'm the common denominator here. Yeah. And so that is identified through basically a series of questions of understanding. And then you can start to recognize it. And so then when you're going to make a decision or you're going to think about something one way, you can say, wait a second, that I'm not playing that game anymore. I'm getting rid of that tape. CD, digital file has changed. So yeah, and so that is what needs to change, or it's just kind of like spinning your wheels in the mud. Yeah.
So in your program, you integrate neuroscience, psychology, biology, and all that. So how does that holistic approach create this lasting change in the leaders?
Okay. So because we are many, faceted being, it's silly to ignore any of that. And so it's kind of like immersion, and you have a change. It's I don't know if you have an example in your life, perhaps, where you made a decision and you knew you made that decision and you never went back.
Right.
And it typically deals with your identity. Like you actually, this is a fun one. You made a real decision recently that you are an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right?
Full time.
Full time.
Yes.
So, and you're not going back.
I'm not going back.
I assume. Yeah.
So that's what you believe is the holistic approach, and cool.
Yeah, but now it's how do we support that
Yes.
decision? And it's not just going to be around your thinking. Of course, that's the foundation, but it's also, okay, what am I going to do to support this so I don't burn out? So what are you going to do for your body? Yeah, because that's the fastest way of going back in, Tony Robbins days, and it was way before him too, but to create a state change. And that's one of the most powerful skills that a leader can have, especially entrepreneur, all leaders, but it's the ability to quickly move into a more powerful state, a more present state, a peaceful state. And so that's something that that I teach as well.
Cool. So what are some of the false beliefs that the leaders have, and how can you actually help them dismantle that?
Yeah, and of course it depends on who the leader is. However, real common ones to most human beings is that we're not enough.
Right.
We're not worthy. Those are some pretty major ones that need to get uprooted. Yeah,
I believe self-image
and their identity. Yeah.
You say once leaders see the conditioning clearly,
Yes,
they can't unsee it.
that's right.
Can you give an example of a breakthrough that you've experienced or outlined?
Actually, on that very thing of for me, it was who am I to myself? What is my identity? And mine is I wasn't worthy, and now I know I am.
Absolutely. So it's again self-belief, self-image.
Yeah, it's that core identity, and once you change how you see yourself, that changes everything. Yeah.
So when did your journey of well-being begin, and what was catalyst to that business that you're building today?
So we kind of mentioned this in terms of when I was very young and
18.
Yeah. When I was younger than that, when actually, in terms of what helped me tune into the diet, was I have some cyst. My mom takes me to the doctor. God bless the doctor, because he said this to me. He said, 2 choices. One, we cut them out. And that was like, okay, what's the other choice? Because I know I'm already doing plan B here. And plan B was don't eat any sugar, don't eat any processed foods, don't eat any fried foods, don't have any dairy, right? And I'm like, okay, done. And I did. And basically maintained that diet ever since then.
Since then. Wow.
Yeah, it just seems to work. I'm like, well, okay. And it was so cool because obviously they just dissolved. And I thought to myself, wow, so our diet can have this big of an
Huge
impact.
on the body.
Yeah. And so, but then as mentioned before, I thought I had it all together, right? And then wasn't expecting some of these unexpecteds in terms of, oh, okay, this marriage isn't what I thought it was. Oh, he's not who I thought he was. And oh, I'm gonna just give up this business I've been building for 15 years. And then that impact of, okay, well, let me see what else I can do because this exercising and eating well isn't enough. And then it was, okay, the mindset work is good, but that's not enough. So we need to marry all this together to address it. So yeah, it started forever ago, and it's been a continual journey. And I still don't have all the answers, but I learned a thing or two.
Interesting. So what are some of the simple tips that you would give someone to help them with their health and fitness?
I'm sorry, what are some of the what?
What are some of the tips that you can give leaders like me or War to help them with their health and fitness?
Oh, yeah, sure. If you're asking, I love this. So a really, really easy thing, for example, and this is what I like to do, small steps, is to, for example, part of my routine when I wake up is I'll have a virgin toddy, which consists of...
Virgin?
Yeah, the virgin toddy. So none of the liquor in there, but it is fresh pressed ginger, lemon, and some apple cider vinegar, and of course local honey, and that is a natural immediate immune booster. Immune booster. And then the other thing is, I don't know, are you very active? Do you work out?
Oh yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. Okay. Now there's some days. So here's part of the misconception is that, you have to go to the gym 6 days a week, hour and a half workout, whatever it is. That's not true. And we have to ebb and flow with our lives and the demands that we have on different days. But the idea is to have a construct that you live by. So for example, and this is a fabulous thing to do, is get yourself a little rebound for those mornings when you know that it may be 5 minutes. Okay. And so that's on a really, not one of the better, but it's something. And to give yourself permission to not be perfect, right? To give yourself permission to, I am paying attention. And you're telling yourself then, so you're also helping your identity and your worth and what have you is, I'm important enough. Like, who owns a champion racehorse and lets them sit on the sofa and like drink Coke and eat chips and watch TV, right? But what we do that to ourselves. We say, yeah, I'm too busy. I don't have time. And the truth is we do. And when we do even just take teeny tiny baby steps and small, committed, consistent, then it's amazing the transformation that can happen.
The effect is much more awesome.
Yes.
So what's some of the mindset hacks, or if you have a mindset hack that you help your clients with their journey?
Really simple is to, other than that transformation table I shared with you, which is super powerful, is to build the skill of being aware of your thoughts. So for the longest time, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I just thought my thoughts were my thoughts and they were my thoughts and there's nothing I could do about my thoughts. And then I found out back when Carolyn Leaf, she was one of the neuroscientists that was starting a long time ago. And she said, actually, there's this thing called neuroplasticity. And you can, where you can actually change, you can rewire your brain. And so like, oh, okay, we're not a fossil and have to stay this way. We can make an adjustment, yay. But that begins with recognizing the thought and then just kind of playing with that and outside of yourself versus, oh, I thought this, so this is true, right? And that's such a powerful skill because then if you have a thought that's like, oh, Sudev is totally bored in this podcast right now, then you can say, wait, is that true?
Right.
And then perhaps flip that. Yeah. So that is an amazing skill to build up. So, and that's one of them.
Cool. And many of us business owners, we struggle with anxiety and worry. So how do you help them overcome that?
Yeah. And that's dear to my heart. So I dealt with that a lot, actually, where there was points where it was just all consuming, right? Like, wow. And so part through my own journey, so using some of these tools and then being able to reframe what's true.
Right.
And so that's a lot on beliefs, but the magic behind that is actually trust. So you have to come to a place of surrender where you recognize that you're not in control. You have control of some things. And then there's things you can't control, and you can control your mind. It takes a minute to learn that, to hone it in, and then to surrender that thought as well, and to surrender the outcome.
Surrender the outcome.
Surrender the outcome,
even when you don't know what the outcome is.
We never do.
Okay.
Wait, and see that's the thing. You think about it, like we're on this planet spinning, in the universe and really close, relatively to the sun and so forth. Everything somehow is working together. If you think about the miracle of your life from birth to now and what you've made through and how you've gotten here and how things have lined up and come together, and then we'll freak out about something. Like really can't, but it's hard to do. I don't know if it's our ego or what have you, or the disconnection.
Right.
And saying, wait a second, actually, no, I can trust that, one, I'm not alone. Okay. And two, that it is going to work out. And three, that if I just give my best and it doesn't go the way I want it to go, that's how it was supposed to go.
Right.
It'd be cool. Yeah.
Cool. So what's a lesson from your corporate career that you wish entrepreneurs actually understood?
Oh, that would be the importance of systems, systems. So I've done some consulting for businesses. I love doing business strategy. And what blows my mind is the lack of structures that are in place, the lack of processes that are in place, and just the ease and the efficiencies that they can bring, and the necessity of just how much of a headache would go away if they would take the time to build those out or bring someone in.
So I have this acronym for system. Have you heard of this before?
Try me.
Okay, try. Save yourself time, energy, money.
Yes.
That system.
Beautiful. Love it.
Yeah. So
we're in the same camp.
Cool. So what's let me ask you one more. What could you give if you were to give one piece of advice to people who are stuck? What would that be?
One piece of advice? Just one? It's so hard.
Maybe the best piece.
Yeah, I would say to trust yourself.
Trust yourself.
Trust yourself.
Your identity, all that stuff.
Yes. Some people have said, if you don't believe in you, do you expect everyone else to, right? And I'm sure I believe in myself like more than my parents do, so on and so forth, right? And we have to get to that point where we're secure enough in who we are that we can listen to what one of my friends. She's awesome. Her name is Faith. She's Faith. She's a single mom, and she told her little,
Faith Preslow?
No.
Okay.
No, but she has a little girl, and she's like, honey, you know what the right thing is to do. You've got that knower. She's from the South. You got that knower in you.
Yeah.
Just listen to that knower. And that's the truth, is we all have that, but yet how often do we ignore that? We ignore it, and we're like, what does everybody else think? And
yeah.
Trust yourself.
So go by your gut.
Yes. Yes, and it's actually more scientific than they said. Yeah, we're finding out all these things.
So if you were to go back a few years and give your younger self some advice, what would that be?
Go for it.
Go for it?
Go for it.
Did you go for it then?
I did not. I mean, I went for some things that were acceptable in my parents' eyes, right? They would approve of it. So one example, we'll see if this dream ever comes. If it doesn't, it's cool, because I know it wasn't meant to be. But actually, I would have got completely slaughtered in I think in the industry and acting and so forth. But I was literally ready to pack my bags and go to New York.
Hollywood? Oh.
Yeah. So I was going to go to New York. I wanted to get on Broadway, try it out. I used to love to sing. I still do. I just don't know if people would like to hear me sing anymore. It's one of those things. And my mom, she sat me down and she's like, I don't know where I'd be if I didn't get my degree and da da da. She gave me the whole, painted this picture of fear. And I'm like, ah. And so, I went to college. And then of course I quit college and then started another business. I didn't tell you about that. I started sales incentive awards. It was so cool, actually. And then my first client wanted to hire me anyhow. That was fun. Then I took that job. It was a good experience. So yeah, it would be to just go for it. Just go for it. Don't listen to it. I mean, get good counsel, right? Go for it with prudence, if you will.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, what's the worst thing you can do is like have a regret.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so much worth it.
Yeah.
Right?
You're an example of that.
But I just went for it 2 months ago. Full time.
No, actually, that's not true.
Building is
you've been, when did you really make the decision? It wasn't 2 months ago.
2012. Right?
Right?
Jumped into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Long back. But yeah, it's been rewarding and, money wise, of course, but more importantly, I've built so many connections, you, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of those things have been very rewarding.
Very rewarding.
Cool. So, what's next for you?
So what's next for me is continuing in this work. And I'm obviously I'm doing coaching right now. I'm just starting with coaching. I'm doing baby steps for myself. And I'm building a program that can be workshops to accompany the coaching to go hand in hand. Of course, the planner I mentioned.
Yeah, the transformation table.
That's a tool.
That's
a tool. So the planner is something to keep leaders on rails, to keep them locked in and focused and headed in the right direction with a calmness. You mentioned the different priorities, competing priorities. It's so nice when you have this tool, this system that on a daily keeps you locked in. You know what you're doing. You know why you're doing it.
Yeah.
We need to keep that why in front of us all the time. So yeah, continue just to help really elevate people to a higher energy, to become more of who they really are. So yeah, that's what I'm up to.
Cool. So any new projects that you're excited about other than the ones that you just mentioned?
Funny you ask is, and that's enough right now, by the way, but I may be, and I won't.
If you're in Broadway?
Actually, a friend of mine literally, he bought me studio time. He wants me to sing again. Like, we'll see if that happens. But no, I may be writing a course for a university.
Oh, wow.
So we'll find out. I don't know. We'll find out. That's like in the...
With MSU or something? No.
With who?
MSU? No.
No. No, because I'm a Michigander?
Yeah.
No. And I'm not loyal to... I just want people to go do a good job on the field.
That's on the lapse right now. Still working on it.
That's like a maybe, but I'm kind of excited about the possibility of that. So we'll see where it goes. If it happens, cool. If not, that's cool too. And I'll let you know if it does.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Would love to hear more about it.
Okay.
Now we are off to some rapid fire.
Yay. Let's go. Let's play.
Let's go this one. What's your morning routine?
My morning routine. Okay. So I mentioned previously, I am a drinkaholic. I admit it. Yeah, so I get up and it's just kind of like I need a drink. So I'll have my virgin toddy.
Drinkaholic or drinkaholic?
The drinks, yeah, actually. Yeah, thank you for correcting me. So I do. So I go for my toddy to, of course, water. Then typically it's a white tea.
White tea?
And I'm such a tea snob. Yes. Oh yeah, I'll tell you all the good ones if you want. I mean, you probably know some big tea. Yeah. And coffee sometimes, most of the time. I was in the telecommunications for a bit, and I took on coffee and wine. It was talk about no process. It was horrible. I dropped the wine, kept the coffee. So yeah, I just have a lot of a fluid intake, and then I have a devotional. I do what I call faith confessions, which are equivalent to affirmations, if you will. And I will take, sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 15 or longer. Typically in the morning, no more than 15, and I'll make myself be still and maybe I'll just breathe, or maybe I'll think on a really good thought, or maybe I'll visualize, like kind of no rules, just to be still is amazing. And then I will do some physical activity. So whether it's 5 minutes, 20 minutes, it's just great. If it's jumping up and down on the rebound, and actually, so I'm gonna make myself do this now. So I'm confessing that I'm gonna do this. I'll go ahead and I'll do a little 20-minute workout. I'll throw it up. I'm not going to put it on LinkedIn. I can never see me wearing spandex or yoga pants ever on LinkedIn. I don't think it's cool. So, but I'll maybe like
Facebook,
Instagram, like might be okay. So you can link on there. But yeah, just where you spend 15, 20 minutes, and that movement is, it's just
it's
a better day.
rejuvenating.
Yeah. So that's how I start. And then I look at what I'm doing and I go, what should I do the night before? So I know what I'm doing the night before.
Very cool.
Because you asked.
Your favorite book?
My favorite book?
Of something you read recently?
Wow. Let's do recent. I have too many favorites. So let's talk about
Recent.
Okay. And I don't know if it's going to go into my favorite category. I will say it really keeps your attention. It's called The Surrender Experiment. Michael Singer, crazy story. It's just true, which is why it's so like, you're kidding me. That's happened. And I do Audible. I do both.
Yeah.
And the Audible is great with him because he's actually a good narrator.
He's the one who's speaking.
Yeah. Sometimes I hire people that totally should be narrating, but he's really good. It's actually riveting because I won't spoil it, but it's a story about a guy who totally surrenders. Like, he won't even take money for what he does for the longest time. He ends up being very wealthy, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a really interesting perspective in terms of his thought process and how he went about intentionally living his life, and he wouldn't waver from it. It's
What's it called again?
It's called The Surrender Experiment. Surrender Experiment.
Surrender Experiment.
Yeah. Michael Singer.
A quote you live by.
The code?
A quote.
Oh, quote. Progress, not perfection.
Progress, not perfection.
Yeah, that comes from pre-perfection days. Like, oh, gotta get rid of that. Or you're never gonna do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So one skill every leader should master.
It would be state change. 100%. So when no matter what's going on, whether it's corporate and there's all the politics, or whether it's more intimate and there's personal really things going on, is to, okay, I am in a good state. Yes. And peaceful is powerful.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A leadership trait you admire most?
Courage.
Courage.
Yeah. That's interesting is that, and I know you've seen this, Sudev, is you find these people who are very successful in business.
Yeah, courageous.
Yeah, but you know what you recognize is that they often are not the most highly intelligent ones. And I think because the most highly intelligent people, and this is a proven, I could not just making it up. I read it somewhere. Okay, but I read it. But it's that the most successful people they're very bold, they're very courageous. They just, again, they go for it. Yeah, intelligent people will talk ourselves right out of doing something.
They call it analysis paralysis.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
One thing leaders should stop doing.
One thing leaders should stop doing. Oh gosh, that's a good one. I know I have the answer for it. Oh yeah. They should stop putting themselves last.
Yeah, they're the leaders. They should be leading.
Through example.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of the premise of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Favorite way to unwind after a long day?
One of my favorite things to do is actually go on a walk. Walk with a friend, walk by myself.
Every day? Okay,
so I know I'm from Michigan, and you would think, but no. And the whole cold plunge, no. Try the cold shower, no. Let it be somewhere between 45 and 80, and I'm out there. So otherwise, no. I do like journaling. That's incredibly therapeutic and eye opening. Like, oh yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. How about you? What do you do? You're asking all the questions here.
Yeah. So I like to watch podcasts.
Okay. Makes sense.
One because I'm doing these podcasts of late, but I got inspired by quite a few people. I could see how big and powerful it can be.
Uh-huh.
And off late, I've been watching 1 or 2 podcasts a day, like
Wow.
ones. They're really, really powerful and shaping my thought process and things like that.
Oh.
Earlier, of course, I used to do a lot of walking, but this last few weeks, things have been cold.
Yeah, very
So,
cold,
yeah.
crazy cold. Yeah.
So today also. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another thing that I like to do is unwind is watching movies. I
Okay.
must admit I've not done that for about good 1-2 months now.
Mhm.
Earlier I used to watch a movie almost every 2-3 days. Like one movie.
What?
Yeah. I mean not outside at home.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
still. Okay. That's amazing.
In fact, I remember in 2008 when we came and Netflix was just coming out.
Yes.
I heard they used to send those CDs on, and then
Yes.
back then I think we ordered the biggest monthly subscription
Mhm.
where about 4 or 5 CDs come to us every week, and we'll watch it.
No kidding. Oh my goodness. Okay.
About
I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Oh, that reminds me though. Remember when you asked for a mind, like a hack, or maybe this is a productivity hack? I will confess to you. You confessed your movie addiction. So, and I'm not an addictive personality. I didn't think so. But I tell you what, those social media, they can be so good at sucking you in. And so I would find myself in the evenings typically, and that's not like I don't have stuff to do. That's better. Like watching some reels. I'm like, oh man, I just lost 20 minutes. Right.
yeah, it sucks the time of time. Yeah.
So what he did
Mm.
is
Mm.
I cut the cord. I just totally removed him from my phone. And that has been so liberating.
Yeah, I'll tell you one productivity hack that I started.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
So, of course, I have a lot of remote team who work with me.
Yes.
When I'm not doing a podcast and when I'm here, right here, what I do is every top of the hour, so I call for a Zoom meeting. 6, 7 of us get together. First 5 minutes, I ask, "Hey, what are you doing for the next one? Or what are you doing for the next one? Or what am I doing for the next hour?" And at the end of the hour, we circle back. We keep the Zoom on. We don't talk. We put it on mute. We don't talk to each other. And by the end of the hour, we say, "Hey, what did you accomplish? What did you accomplish?"
Oh, interesting.
So it's called accountability.
Okay.
So you're having accountability partnership with your own teammates,
Yes.
and that's increased my productivity by like 5 times or something. Because earlier I used to get distracted by emails. I used to get distracted by
Mm-hmm.
I would check, hey, did I miss any email? Formal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I used to do all of that. But
Yeah.
with this, I say, hey, I'm committed to doing this by the end of this hour.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if I don't complete it, I'm answerable to them.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so I think that's really good stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I actually shut off my email notification years ago.
Oh,
So I don't know when they come in. And actually another one, and you probably do this too, although you have this space, is sometimes I just have to get out of my house.
yeah.
Right. And I find that when I sit myself down somewhere else, for some reason, it seems to be
Much better.
more and more focused.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't focused on Starbucks and everything, but this, yeah, it does help getting out of the house and coming here.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot
Mhm.
done. I stopped watching news
Mm-hmm.
like 10, 15 years ago.
Good for you.
Yeah.
It's like, what is it? We don't even know what they're talking about anyhow. Like,
Yeah.
what's true? Who knows? Oh,
Who cares?
exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, good. The most underrated skill in business.
The most is your personal presence. It's your personal presence, hands down. It's how you're showing up. Well, that's as a leader in business. That's a good question. I'm gonna toss the ball back to you. You know, what do you think?
Most underrated skill, I
Yeah.
think. It's good. I haven't thought about myself so. Most underrated skill would, according to me, is communication. So
Mm.
I think that a lot of people underrate that particular skill, and they don't master the art of communication. So if you can't communicate well with your folks, especially the ones whom you're working very closely with, open communication.
Mm-hmm.
Troubled days are ahead. So
100%.
yeah, so I think that's something that as a leader,
Mm-hmm.
I need to embrace it. And the more open and transparent I am up front
Mm-hmm.
in my communication, the longer will my team last, the longer I will last.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I love that, the transparency,
yeah.
and that's the trust factor too.
Yeah.
And then just to add on to that, it would be, first you have to master communicating with yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I love that.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks for that answer, Sudev.
Yeah, pleasure. It's a conversation.
Thank you.
Best investment you ever made?
The best investment I ever made, and that's kind of a hard one, and it's been more recent. I went ahead and I signed up to be in a cohort,
Yep.
and mindset cohort essentially, and the teaching training super good. What was and is still the most beneficial part of that are the people, the connections, and that team. And actually, this I didn't tell you. I should tell you about more of the business. I will in a second, but if I really look at in terms of the investment, I can't say it's so much what I got from this cohort, but it was me betting on myself pretty much against most of the odds. And it's another story for maybe another time. But so to bet on myself and invest in myself. So here I am, I'm drinking my Kool-Aid. It's
Sometimes you never know what you get out of, you go with one thing in mind, but you get something much, much bigger.
Mhm.
That's probably looks like what you got.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool. So if you weren't in sales and leadership, what would you be?
I'm focusing on doing some speaking. I really enjoy that. I've always enjoyed that.
Mm.
And I'm in the process, other than doing the planner, of writing a book as well. That I'm not sure which is going to come first. We'll see. I don't know. I know about that. I've helped people get Amazon bestsellers, and that's a bit of a system too, by the way. Yeah. But hoping that it will be very helpful. Again, at this stage of life, it's like, what can I give back?
Right.
Yeah.
So one word that describes your leadership style?
Interestingly, it'd be communicative.
Okay.
Yeah. And more from I really like them to have self-discovery. I'm not much of telling someone what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Your favorite city to visit?
Okay, so I can't really say, because I love to have an adventure and I love to explore. So for me, it's all about where's a new place to go. Let's try that out. And I haven't quite found that place where I think I want to land here for the rest of my days.
There should be a city by a new city.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'd visit.
Yeah. You visit new city every week. All right, so an app you cannot live without.
Okay, so I'm going to go with chat. I really like it. It's so helpful. Yeah, I marry it with Grammarly. Amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, cool.
How about you, by the way?
Of late, ChatGPT is good.
Yeah.
But from a sales perspective, I love LinkedIn Sales Navigator.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, what do you think about those bots?
Which bots?
The chat bots. So not chat necessarily, but the AI bots. What are your thoughts about those?
Everything seems to be like a wrapper around ChatGPT. So
Okay, yeah.
So that's the source.
Okay.
So I kind of try to master the source.
Got it.
Even the questions that I made for you from ChatGPT.
Cool. My answers are. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but the thing is, it gives me those things in a flash, and it helps me become more productive.
Yeah.
And and I'm learning more, and I think my efficiency has quadrupled just because of ChatGPT.
Yeah, very helpful.
All right, best advice you ever received?
Best advice I ever received was to trust myself. That was the best advice ever. Yeah.
I think we talked about this a little bit. So, favorite way to start the day? Your juice? Your mix?
No, actually, my favorite way to start the day is running on the beach, and then and then have the rinse off with the outside shower and get going. But because I don't live on the beach, that rarely happens, so I have to succumb to Plan B. Yeah, drink away and have my meditations.
A habit that changed your life? The drinkaholic.
The drinkaholic. I mean, that's a hands down a good one for sure. So the habit that changed my life was learning how to control my thoughts.
No. Okay.
Huge.
Huge.
Huge. Yeah. Like night
Yeah,
and
have
day.
you tried Vipassana?
Huh?
Vipassana.
No.
Okay, you should try that.
What is it?
So there's a place in G-Sub, Georgia. They call it G-Sub, Georgia.
Okay.
It's in Georgia. So there, and then these guys have got about 180 centers worldwide. Vipassana is a silent retreat, silent meditation
Oh,
retreat.
okay.
It's a 10-day course.
Uh-huh.
And you start off this time. You go there on a Wednesday, then you go there on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and then come back. You're not allowed to talk to anyone, and you do meditation from 5 o'clock in the morning till about 9 o'clock with different breaks.
In the morning.
5 to 9 in the night.
To in the PM.
In the PM, 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. with breaks in between. Like you do 5 to 6 and maybe like 7 to 8:30, then 9 to 10. And then you have a couple of hours break, then do the lunch.
Yeah.
Then from 1 to 3, like that, it just goes on.
Right.
All you do is meditation, chant. And then you're not allowed to chant. You cannot take your words
In
out.
your head.
It's on your head.
Yeah.
After and I have seen addicts like drug addicts and all these guys come there for rehab and they go back changed person in 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after you go back, you kind of renounce yourself. Like basically, you don't become. First of all, you start looking the world from a different perspective.
Okay.
Because you don't, when you don't talk to yourself, even you're meditating, there's a different thought process that goes through your mind, and then you learn how to meditate, and then you basically control the narrative from then onwards, because you know how to meditate deep and you know how to meditate long. So you should try it. It's free. 10 days is free. Food is free. There's no cost. Absolutely nothing. You just go there empty-handed, come empty-handed. But it's amazing. I've been there about 8 years ago. I want to go.
Wow.
Once in a while, I want to go.
You should have the business club all go. Business club trip.
You cannot talk. So no,
Okay.
you cannot talk. No matter who you are, you cannot talk.
Okay.
For it, it's a silent retreat.
Wow, and that's a commitment. Okay, I might start with bumping it up to a half hour. You know what I'm saying? But no, I'm open. I'm open to that. That sounds really interesting.
To
But
try it out. I mean, if you're in I've seen a lot of people with difficulties in their marriage go there and come back. Not the couple, but one of them, they go back.
Yeah.
They rejuvenate themselves and then come back, or they find themselves.
Yeah.
In that 10 days time. It's just amazing.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you the link.
All right. I'm open. I'm open, but
what does success mean to you in one sentence?
it's the same answer in terms of the Ferrari going. So it's fulfilling the reason why you were here. Yeah, and to me, that is to really help people with their well-being to elevate to
Next time.
who they are, really who they are, their authentic selves that has been buried. That would be success for me.
So I ask this question all the time.
Yeah. How about you? Success to you?
To what does success mean to you to me in one sentence? It's basically if one person has better life because of me,
Yeah.
then that to me is success.
Yeah.
I mean, we always impact many people in different ways.
Right.
But if that person has a significant impact, that means a lot to me.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think I heard somewhere, even if one person lived better because of you,
Mm-hmm.
that's success.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to change the whole world. Change starts with one.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And we never know what that one person is going to do because of that impact as well. And it's
Exactly.
pretty neat multiplication.
Exactly. So
Mhm.
that's what it is. So we always end the podcast with one question. You've been here in Business Club for first time in 10 years ago, and then now again we started coming here last year.
Mm-hmm.
What did you like about Business Club, and is there anything that you think are improvement areas. So I'd love to know about that.
Well, you're amazing, of course.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. And your son, the people, obviously the people is fantastic. It's a place where I think there's a lot of egos that are set to the side because we're in this crazy thing together. Right? How do we help each other do this? Okay. How do we make it happen? And so it feels very safe, very inviting, and it's a lot of good conversation. So I love that. In terms of what could be improved on it, I didn't have my critical hat on for that. It's kind of get back to you on that. It's a lovely experience. Is that fair?
Great. Yeah, thank you.
Mm.
Lovely speaking to you. and
Likewise.
I love having you here.
Thank you.
Wish we can have many more.
Okay, sounds great.
And I look forward to having you again.
Thank you. And I look forward to coming. Thanks again for the
Pleasure.
invitation.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
What a great conversation that I had with Jennifer. She went into deep insights about leadership qualities, how we can actually work through our mind, body, and soul to bring the best of our abilities and lead the team in our own ventures and businesses. It was a great, insightful conversation. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. And if you do have some questions, Jennifer's link is in the description of the video. Please reach out to her. Never know what a conversation could get into. Okay, so enjoy. Have a great rest of the day.